So what we're dealing with here, right, the beginning of the filtration is when things get pushed out of the capillary and across this endothelium. That's the first step in filtration. Now that filtrate goes into this capsule, right? So this is the Bowman's capsule. The filtrate goes inside of there. Now, it gets drained into this proximal tubule. And we're not going to deal with straight tubules. We're just going to deal with what are called convoluted tubules. So now we jump over to here, and we can see, okay, here's a glomerulus. You can see inside Bowman's capsule, we're going to lead to, this is called the proximal convoluted tubule. The proximal convoluted tubule comes down, and it leads to the descending limb of the loop of Henle. Okay, this whole thing right here is known as the loop of Henle. You can also just call it the loop of the nephron. So here's the descending limb of the loop of the nephron. Turns, now this is the ascending limb of the loop of the nephron. That ascending limb of the loop of the nephron then leads to the distal convoluted tubule. And what you should notice is the distal convoluted tubule comes very, very close to this afferent arteriole right here. So if we jump back to the other little model over here, here's the afferent arteriole. This is the distal convoluted tubule. So the juxtaglomerular complex is very near the distal convoluted tubule, and it's near the afferent arteriole. Now, after, right, the distal convoluted tubule continues, it goes all the way to the collecting duct or collecting tubule, which is this long structure right here. Now, when we say nephron, one nephron is where you go from the glomerulus through the proximal convoluted tubule, through the loop of Henle, through the distal convoluted tubule, and finally where you empty into the collecting tubule. And each collecting, so that's one single nephron all the way through there. Each collecting tubule, which you can also call a collecting duct, will be emptied into by multiple nephrons, and that's what we're seeing right here. Okay? Now, that collecting tubule will take the urine all the way down to the tip of the papilla, where you can now call it a papillary duct. Yeah? So that's kidney stuff.